Hey there! Welcome back to my art channel. My name's Kalil and I'm 16 years old. Also, I live in the Philippines. For today's video, I'll show you how I draw an eye with a ball pen. Here are the materials that you'll need. For the initial sketch, we need a pencil, either a mechanical or a normal pencil. Anything's fine to use. I forgot to film the eraser, but you also need that to erase mistakes on the initial sketch. Then next, of course, a ball pen. I posted a video about tips for choosing the right ballpoint pen to sketch with, so you could check that out. And then the next material is a white gel pen for highlights. If you don't have one, a white acrylic paint works fine too. Use it with a detail brush. Next, paper. Use any paper available at home, even a scratch paper could work. You don't really need a high quality paper when you are practicing an eye sketch. Anything works fine, just make sure you got a small stack of papers underneath, so you're not drawing on a very hard surface. And I forgot to film the last material, tissues. It's used to wipe off ink from the tip of the pen because it accumulates there as you draw. That's all the materials I use, so let's start drawing. Start off by lightly sketching a circle. To achieve this, draw with a lot of strokes like what I'm showing you. Combine and connect them together. Do not draw the whole circle with one stroke. And this method goes for almost all the sketching process. This circle will be the iris of the eye. Then next, draw the lash lines. See how the upper lash line covers a small part of the iris. This makes it look realistic. Make sure to do this or else it would look weird. Then sketch the lower lash line and tear duct. For this eye drawing, we'll be sketching the right eye, so the tear duct will be on this corner. Keep sketching lightly until you achieve this structure. Erase that small covered part of the iris and then draw a circle in the middle. This will be the pupil. If you want to resketch because of some errors, feel free to do so. Don't be scared to erase and sketch to achieve a structure. And a smaller circle above like that. The smaller circle will be the highlight. Darken some parts with a light pressure on the pencil so it will be easy to erase if you want to resketch. The water line will be next. Remember, this shouldn't be too thick and not too outlined. Then detail the tear duct with a few lines. For the next step, other artists like to sketch the crease of the eye first, but I got used to sketching the eyelashes. So whatever part you want to do first, the eyelash or the crease, go ahead. But this is how I sketch the eyelashes. Remember, eyelashes are not straight, so try to do a curve with your pencil. Have a high pressure on your pencil first to get that thick line variation, and towards the tip of the eyelash strand, release that pressure so it would look natural. Eyelashes sometimes intersect and go in a different direction. Not all strands have a uniform length, so try to achieve those realistic eyelashes with this in mind. I might make a tutorial about lashes too, so stay tuned for that. Next, go ahead and sketch the lower lashes. They're much shorter and the strands are a bit apart from each other. It has fewer strands of eyelash hair. Don't oversketch this part and draw the eyelashes patiently. After doing this, we can now sketch the crease. Draw the line for the crease with just the right distance from the upper lash line. Try to copy the length of the crease line that you see on the video. The line goes down on both ends. I'm actually using a reference picture as a guide, but I didn't show it because this practice is a warm-up for you. I don't want to stress you that it should be accurate like the reference picture because my aim is to teach you the basic structure of an eye. In this reference picture, there are no eye bags, so I didn't draw it. Let's start with shading using a ball pen. First, fill the pupil or the circle in the middle with the darkest shade of the ball pen. Pupils are mostly black, so we just fill it in. And before we shade further, this is where the tissue is used. I always wipe the tip of the pen on the tissue so the ink piling up at the end will be removed and it won't affect our drawing with those ugly ink blotches. Sorry I didn't film it with the drawings process, but I always wipe it off cam. So I hope you do this too and make it a habit when you are sketching with ball pens. So you could see me shading this part of the iris. With every eye that I've drawn before, this part tends to be dark because of the shadows from the eyelashes. Follow the parts that I shade and observe the direction of my shading. I mostly shade in one direction and it's always slanted. This is because my hand is most comfortable with shading in this method. And when my hand is comfortable, I have better control on my drawings. But I don't always shade like this because with detailing, we need to change our direction of shading. Now that as I shade down, you see that I gradually lighten my shadings. Don't fill all the iris up just yet with this shade because we are shading with ball pens and it'll be very hard to fix. There's no going back when you shade too dark, so always start by lightly shading. To shade lightly, hold the pen far from the tip and have a light pressure as you shade. With the lightest pressure you can do on the pen, shade the remaining part of the iris very lightly. The edges of the iris are dark, so I hope you see me building up shadows on those parts. I'm still in the same slanted direction, but I will change it after a while because we'll go ahead and detail. You can see me going over some parts and shading it again. I leave the small circle white because, as I've said before, it will serve as the highlight of the eye. Let's start detailing the edges of the iris. I now change my direction in shading. Shade it like it is going towards the pupil or the black circle we drew in the middle. Next, detail the pupil with small strokes going outwards. This is so that we don't have a weird looking circle in the middle of the iris. Adding small strokes blend the pupil with the iris better. Our eye sketch is slowly coming to life because of our shading. I think the greater the contrast you manage to pull off in a drawing with great blending, the more that an artwork would look real. That's why I really admire artists that manage to use the beauty of contrast well, and how they were able to blend two different shades naturally. And I'm still practicing to achieve that as well. For this part of the eye, I added a few lines from the edge of the iris to the pupil, but I made sure I'm not adding the lines too dark. Do this all around the remaining part like what you see in the video. Then I added short lines all around the eye for additional details. Let's start shading the white part of the eye. This part of the eye shouldn't be left pure white. To make it look real, it should have shadows as well. The lash line drops shadows on the upper parts, so that's why we'll build the shadows right there. Don't shade this too dark. Always start shading lightly. This is a good practice for drawing with the ballpoint pen because you would know the amount of pressure you should put on the pen to achieve that light shade. I shaded these parts again with that same slanted direction. Make sure your hand is comfortable and don't do slow hesitant strokes when you are shading with a ball pen because you won't have a smooth shading. Being too slow can make your strokes vary and one stroke might be darker and then lighter. We don't want two different shades together because it could affect the transition of your shading from light to dark. So that's why shade at the right speed, wherein you'll have a constant shade, but also not too fast that it would leave ink blotches. As you shade down, shade lighter, and fill up the remaining parts with this light shade. Once you're done with this part, let's start shading the tear duct. It should have a darker shade and it should blend well with the white part. Don't outline this because that tends to be the common mistake with drawing tear ducts. Only build up such dark areas with shading. Let's shade the crease next. I lightly shaded the line of the crease, not outlining it too hard. And with the same slanted direction, shade from this corner of the eye and build shadows like what you see on the video. I don't really know how to explain this part because it's just a variation of shadows. Showing how I drew this would help you guys understand it better, so I hope you follow the clips well. I drew the structure of an eyebrow, but I didn't detail it as it wasn't the focus of the video. I just sketched it to see how far I should shade for the eyelid. Start shading for the lower lash line as well with that same slanted direction. Shade the top of the eyelid too, which connects with the eyebrow. I resketched the eyebrow and placed it lower. Let's head to drawing the eyelashes. The sketch we made for the eyelashes earlier is not visible anymore because of the shading that we did so far. But same like how we sketched it with the pencil, draw the eyelashes patiently with a ball pen. The simple guidelines for drawing realistic lashes are that the strokes shouldn't be straight. Draw these lines with a curve. The lashes are not always uniform in length and direction. Have higher pressure at the root of the eyelash and releasing that pressure at the end, so we have a hair-like structure. The upper eyelash is thicker than the bottom eyelash. The bottom eyelash has fewer strands and the strands are not too close with each other. With this in mind, we could achieve those realistic-looking eyelashes. Grab your white gel pen or white acrylic paint. Let's detail the highlights. I made the small circle a little bit bigger and then added a few white lines at the bottom part of the iris and a small dot at the pupil. Also some on the eyelashes. Then for an extra effect, I drew lines on the small circle that looks like the eyelash strands. So we have an image that the eyelashes reflect on that highlight. And with this last detail, we're done with this tutorial. By the way guys, I have an Instagram account. I'm very active there, so you could check that out. I hope you learned a lot from this tutorial and will motivate you to start sketching. Here's the finished artwork. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to post content here on YouTube often because of the art collabs on IG, but I finished most of that so I can get back to giving more content here. Here are some works I posted there the past 2 weeks. I reached 1K on Instagram, so I made a Draw This in Your Style challenge as a special for such blessing. And I also posted 3 art collabs. Here's a collab hosted by my friend Mano. The collab concept was stray kids everywhere all around the world. Next collab was hosted by Amber and Kalil. The concept is that we need to draw BTS or GOT7, and some of us did both, so I have RM and Jackson. I tried to do that playdate edit here for this artwork, so I hope it is satisfying to watch. I really like the 2-page sketch. I think it's really aesthetic. And oh my god, this next collab with Candy, my fellow pan artist. I love this dark concept we did. Her bias in 80s is Hongjung, so I drew that for her with the tattoos, and she drew Yoongi for me. She's so good at pointillism and I really love her personality. I hope to collab with all of these amazing artists again. Oh, and also I posted the previous artwork I did for YouTube, which is Dachwita. Sketching with a red pen is so fun. I have the YouTube video posted so you could check that out as well. I focus on the basics on how to shade with the ballpen there. That is all for this vlog. Remember to click the like button and subscribe. Also, click the notification bell so you could be updated if I post a new art vlog. Thank you for watching!